Hello, everyone. Welcome to Confidence Through Cabaret. My name is Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
Yes, you are. And what are you drinking, Ryan?
Well, I unfortunately have left my coffee cup somewhere with my full coffee in it. So I have an empty glass that did have squash in it.
Well, cheers to your possible beauty anyway.
Prost.
So today, this is my Mr. Bump.
Your little Miss Bump, I'm drinking from a Hogarden glass.
The trouble was Mr. Bump just couldn't help having little accidents. That's what it says on the back of my mug.
I mean,
Mr. Bump. I wonder if that's his real name or if that's just the label he's got because he keeps bumping into things.
maybe. And speaking of labels.
Did you like that little segue?
I did. I very much enjoyed your smooth, seamless segue there. Because we have just been talking with Rosa Alejandra, and she is an amazing author and neurolinguistic programming coach and a special practitioner of mirror work, which she's created her own system and devised her own system for. But we just did a really interesting podcast with her.
Yeah.
And there was quite a number of different insights that she gave that were really just like ping. But there was something at the end that I think that we really resonated with, particularly that we want to talk about. What do you think?
I mean, there was several times when I was thinking, oh, that just exploded in my body. Like that wasn't just a brain thing. That was I felt that.
Yeah.
Because Rosa was talking about, control and letting go of control. And I was like, what if you let go of control and there's nothing? And that it actually, I literally felt the fear in my body. Like,
right.
Yeah. And then we just had all this insight and we exhausted ourselves and Rosa, and we're just about to say goodbye. And she says, can I just say? And then yeah.
Yeah.
And then that. Let's have a listen.
Thank you so much. And what you guys do is amazing too. We're definitely very, very aligned. And if I can say one more thing, if it's allowed, is I invite everyone to stop being so afraid of yourselves. You should be more afraid of the mediocrity. You should be more afraid of the things that are keeping you unhappy. If you're gonna fight through your life, fight for happiness, not for unhappiness. If you're going to settle for something in life, settle for happiness, not for unhappiness. And that is going to take you to get in front of the mirror.
Well. So now I know people behind the scenes may not have necessarily heard our conversations, but we have talked about this quite a few times on Confidence Through Cabaret, on podcasts and in masterclasses as well. Talking about labels and what happens when those labels disappear. So this is a very interesting thing, because we all have our own sort of badges that we cling to us, and sometimes we don't cling to them. Sometimes they are put on us. Sometimes they're just given to us. But the question does arise, what do you do when those labels don't fit you anymore? Or when they don't seem to be right, or they cause this cognitive dissonance because you're like, you're so many different things that you don't know who you are. I mean, it's a really heady question and a really heady thing. And I love what Rosa was saying, where she was just like, if the labels don't work for you and if you don't have them, excuse my language, but fuck them, pretty much. And I found that really, really interesting, because I think we've both had our own experiences of that. What did you take from that?
Well, so I do. That is my story. Is all about, because she said one day the labels will be gone, and then what? And I went, oh, I've lived that. Hopefully, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
But I think, the labels of being, wife or mother and business person and author and all these labels, they define us and they limit us.
Mm-hmm.
And, the danger of having those limits, those labels, not only is it dangerous because they will one day be gone, but it's also, it's just so limiting. And, there's a lot of research about how people actually don't fear staying in one place or staying in their, even if it's a discomfort zone,
Mm,
anywhere near as much as they fear, what's possible
mm,
or what success might bring, or, so we're limiting ourselves, and there are so many problems with that.
mm,
So once you are an author, then are you just an author? Do you always have to be an author? Does that mean you always have to write more books? Does that mean you just did it that one time, and then are you really an author? And I mean, just something like, which is a pretty great thing to do, but also fairly neutral kind of label, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, that's not even said with harm.
Mhm.
And that already I can see all kinds of problems with that, you know
Yeah,
and does that mean I can't do anything else? So
yeah.
um so many of us, just in day-to-day life,
Mm,
we were given labels on the playground, we were given labels by our
yeah.
parents, we were given labels by our teachers. Like, if there's
Mhm,
teachers out there, honestly, there's a
mhm.
lot to answer for.
Yeah,
And I know teachers were damaged by those labels too, and yet it's a perpetual cycle. Not
yeah.
only teachers. I mean, I come from a family of teachers, so I've no thing about that. But I just think, like, when you're a child, we look for trust, and we look for
Mm,
strength, and we look for who we are from others,
yeah,
and that stuff sticks.
yeah,
And that can be also, you're great too, right? Like,
yeah.
if you say, oh, you're such a good person,
Mm,
that can also be a lot of pressure. Like, does that mean I always have to be good? Because I'm not
yeah,
always good. So
yeah,
do I have to live up to that? Because now, do you see?
yeah,
So it's not even the you're bad, which is a
yeah,
terrible label, but also the you're good is a permanency, and that
yeah.
that 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 is so connected to our self-worth and our self-esteem.
Mm, yeah.
Of course, when
No,
my labels all went boom, I was like, uh-oh, like, I don't even exist, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
now I got new labels,
Right,
because now I'm still a mom, but now I'm like an empty nester mom,
right, right.
right? But you know, and then eventually one day, and then I'll have the dreaded mother-in-law and all of that kind of thing, and I'll get new labels of
Hmm,
grandma, etc.
sure, sure.
And then obviously not for many many years, because I'm far
Of
too young for
course.
that. No, that's not true. That's already happened. So, and then
I was
shh,
like, wait a minute.
I know. I know. I'm trying out new labels, Ryan. I'm trying.
I'm not limiting you, I promise.
But then and then now I've got widow, and then you've got
Mm,
and now I've got a new career, but like, and it's a whole different kind of career. I mean, what are we?
yeah.
What do we label ourselves? Like, are we as confidence? What do we call ourselves, Ryan?
I mean, I don't think I want to add a further label to that, because then it's something that you have to live up to again. And it's like, I don't like, don't get me wrong, as you say, labels can be really good. They can be a guiding post, they can be a signpost to things, and sometimes those labels are really positive to an identity. But as you say, they can be limiting.
Yeah.
And if you put yourself into a position where you rely solely on that to give your life shape, then you start to lose sight of what your own ideas, ambitions, and dreams are. And I
Yeah.
think that's the danger with that. It's like, if you rely on those external things, and if you rely on those almost truisms that they become, then they start to lose a bit of their potency, and they start to lose a little bit of their meaning when things shift and change. And I think the big takeaway that I sort of seem to have from what Rosa was saying, is that those things can be a good thing. They can do lots of, they can provide a certain amount of structure or system or whatever you need, but you shouldn't be confined to them.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be limited to what those possibilities mean, because everybody has a different idea of what those possibilities are. When someone says that someone's a mother or a father, or someone is a caregiver of any kind, there is an assumption that that means one thing, but there are so many different molds to that, and so many different models to that. We can't be restricted to other people's versions of our identities, or even our own sometimes, because
Yeah.
we can just as about enforce them.
And Rosa does, talk about, work in the mirror and looking in the mirror and,
Mm.
and embracing the parts of us that we don't like and going, yeah, but look how much hard I had to work to get this. So I can
Yeah.
work just as hard to get something else if I want that.
Yeah.
And I think, but we put labels around those things, which are physical descriptors as well as our,
Yeah.
our pure essence of who we are and what we're capable of.
Yeah.
And we are not our labels,
No. No.
you know,
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's a language that can be helpful or can be not helpful,
Yeah.
but it doesn't let us off the hook from needing to do the work to find our why
Yeah.
and to find our potential.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, isn't it? It's all about the potential that we already have within ourselves and understanding that and utilizing it and stepping into it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try changing language to I'm this today, or I'm like this,
Mm.
or I prefer this,
Yeah.
or descriptions. So, I'm feeling mad. I'm not crazy,
Mm.
or I'm not a choose your
Yeah.
favorite adjective,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or I am a choose your favorite adjective. It's
Mhm.
not a fill in the blanks kind of an exercise.
No.
It's more of a sometimes I feel like this and sometimes I'm
Mhm.
behaving like that. And sometimes my response is
Yeah.
that kind of language, to just kind of try and remove yourself from those words. Nobody is,
Mm.
I don't care, whatever your choose your favorite adjective.
Yeah.
Nobody is my favorite example is, a Muppet. So nobody is a Muppet, however you want to spin that.
I
Um,
disagree.
you know, but I've heard you are a Muppet used with anger and aggression and
Yeah.
meant as demeaning and something terrible. And I've also heard it as as a crazy, fun, loving,
Yeah.
soft and fabulous. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think there's a tone of voice that goes behind those labels. So when we say those labels, what's the tone of voice in that?
Mm. Yeah.
Right? Because you can say, I'm a Muppet and be joyous, and you can say I'm a Muppet and be, pretty nasty to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of that, just shifting that language will tune you into that
Mm.
tone of voice that you're putting alongside those labels.
Right. Right. That's a really
Yeah.
interesting idea. And especially when you consider how many labels we accrue in our life. Because, if you start to look back on how many identities you've had, you might be staggered to see how many things you've already traversed out of, the things you've already kind of mitigated and removed yourself from. And it didn't take something away from you. It just meant that it was a new experience for you to have. It was a new part of the journey that you're on. These labels are transitionary. They
I
are,
love this. I love
right?
it. I'm going to do this. Okay, so here's our exercise. Exercise of the day. We don't normally do this, but why not?
Why not?
Okay. So we write down all the labels we have had,
Yeah.
and then we look at, that kind of shedding of the skin, the reptilian kind of, see where I
Mhm.
went with that whole kind of shedding of those layers.
Yeah.
And then we look at, so the labels that we would give ourselves today,
Mhm.
and what do we need to do to shift and shed those
Yeah. Yeah.
to embrace what's coming.
Yeah. Oh, I love that idea. Oh, I love that idea. Oh, in the comments, we wanna hear about your experience with this. I want to know how you found that. Hell, if you would like to, please feel free to put down some of those labels. Especially if you feel comfortable and confident enough to do so, please do. We'd love to hear, how you've traversed these worlds. We all have our own stories to tell, and we all have our own labels that we've been given or taken. So it would be great to hear how you get on with it and what that feeling is like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're most welcome to join our Facebook community, which is Confidence Through Cabaret. Yeah, on Facebook, the community, which is so much fun. And we have a challenge. If you're finding this before the 10th of February, which you won't be, I guess. I don't even know the days. Time is immaterial now.
Yeah,
I mean,
time is in flux.
it
It's in
doesn't matter.
transition.
But when you do come to Confidence Through Cabaret community on Facebook, you can join and then check out the units, and the we're doing a Fall in Love with You challenge. And that's a form of shedding a new skin, or embracing yourself with a new blanket, or whatever you like to hug yourself with.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So do join us. All the social media, Confidence Through Cabaret. Everything's on the website, on the landing page, confidencethroughcabaret.com. The only thing that's not Confidence Through Cabaret is Twitter. Twitter is at YBYWYS, all the letters. And I am on Clubhouse at Heather YBYWYS. And that stands for what, Ryan?
That stands for your body.
Your body.
Your world. Your stage.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Heather.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.